basic large animal rescue techniques. So some of these techniques would involve a trench, which is a side or a vertical lift, confined space, low or high angle, collapsed structure, unstable ground, a water flat surface or tidal, hazmat or decon, or mass casualty. The horse on the top right is in a trailer, and now you have to get the horse out from the trailer. So there's going to be a lot of sharp objects. So you're going to be using your glide and your reach tools to do this. On the bottom, this is going to be a vertical lift. And now you have a hazmat condition because that horse is in a manure pit. This is the forward assist. This can assist the animal that's out of an entrapment and give it some encouragement to move forward for a sterno or in the cumbered positions. There's 3 configurations. One is a Swiss seat, a Loxford configuration, or just a simple wrap. And each one of them are effective. A 30-foot strap works great for a Swiss seat and just a straight pull. Loxford is something that you could use if you have a limited amount of webbing, but the drawback for a Loxford is if the animal decides to stand up, it doesn't drop. You have to take it off. So this is the forward assist when the animal is on the ground. Using your reach tools, you put everything around the horse, up around the withers, and then between the legs, and it's in a forward. The person that's in control is the handler. So they would say prepare to haul, and then they would lift the head, and then everybody would haul into a safe location. Then you have the haulers that are on the left of the screen. They would drop the webbing and just back away, and then allow the animal to either roll onto its side, stand up, just have it relax, and then have the ability for its own way to stand up. Here's a video. Very straightforward, very easy. All right, the hardest part is implementing it and getting it around the animal. So there is a forward drag on the Loxford. So that's a limited amount, or you want to extend your webbing because it's a hazard zone, and you want to have your handler and your hauling personnel further from the hazard area where the horse is. This is a backwards drag. It's the exact same setup as a forward drag. Same setup, and the handler is in charge. He will lift the head, and then they prepare to haul, and they haul backwards. But you have to remember, they have to have a safe area and your containment set up. So they haul. When you're doing a backwards haul, you have to ensure that the tail is not caught on anything or gets underneath the rear of the animal when you're doing that. And if the animal comes out into a safe area, the haulers can just drop the webbings and back away. If the animal decides to stand up in this configuration, the webbing will just fall off. So that's a rearward drag, a skid. Here's a sideways drag. Sideways drag on the top picture there. You've got 2 sets of webbing. You've got the handler that has control of the head, and you're using edge protection. And on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that it's a different configuration, same setup around the midsection of the animal, but you're limited on how long it is the webbing. So you have to put more people because you're elevating, changing direction, and going to a 90 degree. So you're going to require more people power to pull this type of a haul. So you can see how that haul is. So it brought the horse out of a little bit of a gully, back up onto a hill, so it can put himself into a cumbered position and relax and are able to stand up. But normally you would haul this animal about 10 to 15 feet from the hole area because you don't want the animal to stumble and go back into the hole. So you have the barrel skid, which is a sideways drag. Then you have a sideways drag, which is another name is called a Hampshire slip. So instead of going around the girth of the animal, you're using the two downward legs and two sets of webbing to underneath the midsection of the horse on the forward leg and the rear leg, and then just pulling it sideways. It's still effective. It's something that you could use on a grassy knoll, someplace that you don't have to have a glide, and it's not an abrasive surface. It's easy to do. And if the animal decides to stand up, the webbing just falls off. This is a cast horse roll. Cast horse roll is used in different situation, but mostly in a stall area that I've seen it. And you want to get the horse because it has to have the ability to roll itself and get itself over to use its upper neck and shoulder areas to get its feet underneath so it can stand up. So this can be a little bit dangerous when it's up against a wall or a small stall. So you have to either put the webbing on the leg, on the downward rear leg, and then work through the stall. You may be outside when you're doing this, and you pull on a 30-degree angle. So you can see the setup of a girth hitch. And the bottom corner left, you can see it going around the left hoof, which is the left rear downward hoof area. And then you can see how it works off the hock, all right, and the fetlock. And you would just pull it over. And here's an excellent video. So 30-degree, handler takes control, ensure the head's not being, the eye area is not going to be damaged. Protection, over it goes. And if the animal decides to stand up, you just let go of the webbing and back away, and it'll kick it off. Very effective. Here's another type of roll. This roll here is more of an open area, so you're not limited to any confinement. So it goes around all four legs on down underneath the ground, and you have to remember this is pulled at a V from the center of the animal. So it grabs onto the legs and then rolls it over gently. This one here is a controlled roll. When the animal is being rolled over and you don't want the hoof area, or you want to slam on a pavement, or there's an obstacle or close by and you want to control the roll over and you want to do it gently. So you would pull the animal over, and then this one strap that goes straight through would be on the downside of the legs that are rolling over, and then you control the downward drop. Then you have a mud rescue. The mud rescue there in this picture here, you can be either doing a vertical lift or a sideways drag, or if it's a frontward, if you have to, or a rearward drag. It all depends on what conditions you have. If it's a mud issue, you're going to use the Nithopicus needle to get around to the other side, so you can grab the webbing to set up for whatever you're trying to set up for. When you're doing this type of work, you have to make sure that the rescuers have the proper protection for themselves, for either reaching for fall arrest or edge protection, so they don't get stuck in the mud in themselves and then become part of the incident. Right here you have the mud lances. So now we're injecting water. So we're taking the clay and turning it into a slurry, so it allows the animal to be able to pull out, so you can get air in there, so you reduce the amount of suction. On the bottom right-hand corner, you see the Nithopicus needle being used, so it gets underneath the girth of the animal, so you can get the webbing underneath. So you can do your vertical lift or a sideways drag. Here's a vertical lift with a Becker sling. I've done this a few times. And this right here, the drawback to doing vertical lifts, you have to have from the top of the withers of the animal to where the device is that's doing the lift, that can be anywhere between 15 to 20 feet. So you're losing a lot of distance in that. So you have to have a device that has the capability of lifting this animal out of the area where it's coming from, the mud or the trench or a septic tank area, and then you have to have the ability to move the animal off to a safe area. This is a vertical lifts with an Anderson sling. I've used this sling. The sling is great for the anatomy of the horse, displacing weight, but this animal, it takes a long time to set up, and it's a lot of clipping with all the different letters and making sure they coincide. So if this is a mud rescue, it's going to be very, very difficult to put this on. Okay, Susan.
So this is a rescue that occurred. This is actually a Charolais bull. That's a pet. The bull had walked onto something it really shouldn't have, and it fell through. And this is a rescue that happened, I'm trying to remember the actual year, might have been 2017.
Mm-hmm.
There's an OSBCA officer that was on site. Previously, we had conducted some training and some of the officers had taken part. The officer on site hadn't taken our training, but was on a phone call with somebody who had taken the training. So was able to give some direction on a way to actually put this rescue together. Now, it's always easy to watch a rescue after the fact and critique it. That's a good way to learn, of course. So there's some things that I think were done quite well with this rescue, and then there's other things that might have been improved upon. So
Can we hit
just
stop
watch
for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, so if you see the way it's hard to see here, you see they're using three straps, one at the just in front of the rear legs, and then two in the chest area that are crossing over. If you notice, this puts the animal in a precarious position, and because if it decides to kick or flail and starts moving its head, it could either flip backwards or flip forward. So that's one of the key things is controlling that. Okay.
Move more forward. So the bull does not have any sort of halter or head control. The people that are working around the bull, they don't have helmets on. We had talked about containment earlier on. They're moving the bull away from where it had fallen through a hole, but there isn't any protection to stop it from running back into that hole or running somewhere else. So possibly thinking about containment of where you're going to put the bull. And then placement of the people. Some of these people are getting into a spot where they could, be injured. I think you can tell who the owner is by how comfortable they feel with just being really close proximity to that bull.
Can we stop one moment, please?
Yeah.
Some of the other considerations you have to think into this is how, if I put the animal down, what's it going to do to my equipment that I'm using? Is it going to pull it over? Is it going to do a shock load on it? Is it going to break something? So you have to anticipate this. And with the Becker slings, they have a quick release system. So it allows them to release it. As soon as the animal touches the ground, it wants to go into a flight mode and get itself out of there. Okay.
So again, the bull could have decided to go somewhere else than forward. And yeah, that owner is pretty comfortable with his pet there.